Alright guys, I am in the market for a new credit card. I am taking an international trip in a couple months, and so we're about to see who's going to give me the best value, okay? So we're comparing the Chase Sapphire Preferred and the Capital One Venture Card. I do have the American Express Gold Card as my everyday card, but American Express is not as widely accepted overseas. I know especially in the place I'm going to, a lot of major retailers and places would not accept it for someone else that I know. So this is a little bit sad because I really don't want a new credit card, but this credit card is going to be my international go-to credit card. So anytime I'm taking a trip internationally, this is going to be the card I use. So I'm not against an annual fee if it's giving me the value, but I'm also not looking to spend more than $95 a year just for the card. So we're comparing the Chase Sapphire Preferred, I think I already said that, but again, and the Capital One Venture Card. So let's get to the basics real quick. You both, for these cards, have to spend $4,000 in 3 months. Both the cards have a $95 annual fee, and we're going to talk about interest real quick because I just want to note this. For Chase, the variable interest rates are from 20.74% to 27.74%. Capital One is notorious for their high interest rates, which I feel like all the interest rates are high. You know, anything they're charging you is going to be high. That's how they make their money. But Capital One's variable is that 20.74% all the way up to 28.74%. So that's just something to keep in mind. You could potentially be paying more in interest for the same balances on Capital One versus Chase. Not that I plan to carry a balance with this card because it's not going to be really used that much, but just something to keep in mind. Now we'll talk about the welcome offer. Right now, Chase has the 80,000 point welcome bonus. I know that the standard is probably like 60,000 points, I think I've heard. And then for Capital One, their standard, there's no special offer right now, but it's 75,000 bonus miles. The thing that gives me the most, not anxiety, but just concerns me is, like, I know Chase is more established and more connected when it comes to transfer partners and their travel portal system. I don't know too much about Capital One system, but I do know Capital One is still like trying to catch up, if you will, or kind of make their name and make noise in the credit card industry. So I'm just a little bit worried about their transfer partners, how that will be played out. I know that they don't even have lounges in most airports. I think they have like 13 lounges in the United States. So, you know, that's not a concern because not like I'm looking for access. That's not why I'm getting the card. But Capital One is just not as established as American Express and Chase. With the Chase Sapphire Preferred card, you are getting 5 times the total points on travel purchases purchased through Chase Ultimate Rewards, excluding hotel purchases that qualify for the $50 annual rewards credit. 2 times the points on other travel purchases, and 3 times the points on dining, 3 times the points on online grocery purchases, 3 times the points on streaming services, which I will say, 3 times the points on streaming services is amazing because I haven't really seen too many credit cards that are offering extra points on streaming services, and I have about $120 worth of streaming services every single month. So that right there, the fact that I could be getting more points for these streaming services, there's so many of them, but that's something that I really do appreciate. And then for Chase Sapphire Preferred, it's 1 times the point per dollar spent on all other purchases, and we're going to come back to all of that, but I just want to give you the categories for Capital One. It's much more cut and dry, not very exciting. It's 5 times the miles per dollar on hotels and rental cars, so I'm assuming that does not include flights booked through Capital One Travel, and then 2 times the miles per dollar on every other purchase. The thing that initially attracted me to this card was that unlimited 2 times the mile per dollar on every purchase. I wanted to kind of use it in support with my Amex Gold Card, because with my Amex Gold Card in the categories that are not restaurants, groceries, and flights, I'm only earning 1 times the point per dollar spent, but I do spend a lot of money in miscellaneous categories that I'm just not earning points in. So I initially did want the card for that, and then also for the TSA PreCheck credit, which this is before I did my research, and I didn't know that. First of all, TSA PreCheck is only $78, so I could just go and buy TSA PreCheck, and it lasts 5 years. So yes, you're gonna get that credit for the first year, paying $95, so it kind of, you know, evens out if you're gonna consider that 2 miles per dollar spent. But then you're good for 5 years, so it's like, why am I going to continue to pay all this money for every year for the card when I don't need to? So the TSA PreCheck was a huge thing that attracted me to the card, but I don't feel like I need the card for that anymore, obviously. But I still do need a card for my trip, but that was the initial thing that attracted me to the card. Now, going back to Chase, they also give you a $50 statement credit each account anniversary for hotel stays purchased through the Chase Ultimate Rewards. So I feel like, oh, and also with the Chase Sapphire Preferred card, you are getting, if you click into the offer details on the website, you get a 10% anniversary points bonus, and you also get complimentary Instacart Plus membership for 12 months and a $10 monthly GoPuff statement credit and complimentary Dash Pass from DoorDash. I think that again is more value that's being added that's not being added with the Capital One card. Chase also has the My Chase plan, so instead of paying a percentage of interest based on whatever you spent, you can just break up your purchases of $100 or more into fixed monthly payments with My Chase plan. No interest, just a monthly fee. That monthly fee, that's how they get you. The wording is really pretty, but you know, just be careful. And then another thing that I want to talk about before we wrap up is just the company reviews. So based on the Capital One Venture card, the reviews aren't really that bad. It's mostly from people just saying, you know, hey, I don't use the miles anymore, or they won't let me switch my payment due date or whatever. The Sapphire Preferred card actually has a lot of bad reviews, mostly about people wanting to dispute things that were fraud or working with vendors who didn't do the correct thing with their purchase or whatever. But Chase not disputing the charge, or disputing the charge but not working in the customer's favor, even though it was fraud, and even though the buyer is supposed to be protected against certain things. And that's really just interesting to know. There were also a couple of reviews of people doing damage to cars and Chase refusing to help them in that situation, which they are supposed to. But really bad reviews for customer service. And I know that Capital One reviews for customer service were a lot better. There weren't really many complaints about Capital One's customer service. And I know with American Express, where I'm coming from, they have really good customer service as well. So this is a surprise to me because I never knew that Chase wasn't, you know, as top notch when it came to customer service and handling their customer issues, especially if you are promising things with a credit card and a credit card is supposed to be more secure, and people, you know, generally choose to pay for things with credit cards versus debit cards, not only for the points but for the protection. And if you're not delivering that promise, that's a huge issue, because people really are out here scamming people, especially if you're working with vendors, especially if you are renting a car, especially if it's through Turo and not like Hertz or Enterprise. So I just think that is a little off-putting. I'm gonna also look at a few cashback cards and see what I think about that. I'm probably leaning towards a cashback card just because I'm only going to be using this card for international travel. Yeah, so that's the end of this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.